then I'm going to explain to them what it was. I watched it last night, and okay, I have been told by a couple of people that the trailer was misleading and it was actually a way better movie than that, which I actually kind of I believed. I was like, okay, this is a very creative person with a lot of very good talent, and surely there is like merit to this movie. I'm gonna say right now, there absolutely is. This, in a lot of ways, is a beautifully animated movie. If you were into animation, if you're like an animation student or you work in the industry, this movie is totally worth checking out. Just
Look
to
at my
see how
dude.
goddamn beautifully big parts of it are like staged and composed and
Constantly
animated.
get mixed up with
It
this
is a
guy. It's not me.
weird movie. What it really feels like is a throwback to like
Thank
Prince the
you.
Cat, which is like this really
Thank
raunchy
you. No problem.
cats with all like
I can't imagine how
stuff. It's
special.
very, very strange. As well as like the more extreme adult Ren and
Alright, yeah,
Stimpy
see?
stuff. He
Oh.
says 5 slams starting at $5. So snack high and on
Oops.
budget. 5 slams starting at 5. Very strange. As well as like the more extreme adult Ren and Stimpy stuff. I kind of just sat there for a minute or for an hour and 26 minutes, just kind of bewildered, not just at like what I was seeing, but I guess how and why this movie came into existence. This movie has a budget of $30 million. $30 million. That is more than the budget of the recent Naked Gun movie. Which, okay, little side tangent. If you have not seen the Naked Gun starring Liam Neeson, you should. It's absolutely fantastic. Comedy films have kind of disappeared from the modern filmscape, and the Naked Gun is one of the funniest movies I've seen in so long. Liam Neeson's amazing in it. Pamela Anderson's amazing in it. It's just a fucking phenomenal movie. But yeah, this movie makes cost more than that. And you might notice that when you start to see the voice cast. The dude from Righteous Gemstones who is in this, he's great. It's not the right, it's the other fellow. He's really good at like he is good at Idris Elba plays a neutered best friend who's like a big it's so weird watching Idris fucking Elba watching Stringer Bell flicker lines like you talk about for at least still like watching all of this. There's so much licensed music in this movie, and it just it's this movie is never going to make its money back because we don't know what's more. You know, like it's now like a kids movie, and but at the same time, it feels like a kids movie, and it's just ultra kind of raunchy jokes. You know, like there's multiple deleted scenes of just dogs fucking and weird gore and violence and just all this kind of stuff. I wasn't like offended by any of it. I've seen some like real moral bloodshed going on in this movie where people are just like really horrified and think it's like this morally abominable thing. I just think it's a gross out big animated film. We don't need to send death threats to the animators, which is something that's actually been happening. But I kind of just sat there stunned the entire time. It's a tough one because like it's a comedy movie, and I would say I don't know that it really got a single laugh out of me. I think it got one or two like so maybe one single like maybe one. It's just a bizarre serious forward of like I don't know. Like even the credits rolled on it, and it was sort of like I'm really glad Gimli got that out of the system. You know, I'm glad that he was able to release those demons into this film. And it's strange. But like, here's the thing I'd say as well, right? I don't think this is a bad movie. I think it's an extremely strange movie. But like most strange movies, I'm kind of glad that I exist. I would rather it exist than not exist. You know, like I would rather that people be making for this weird and fucked up and
So shit.
in like the screenings, people I got later watched it, I see really watching Dragon Asian Film Festival, and I could see all the outrageous shit happening on screen being way more enjoyable in an audience than like me sitting at home in my living room by myself building like I think it's just that is the ideal viewing environment for this. But yeah, look, ultimately I think birds should be weird, and that's something I really like for. This is one of those movies that came out and they kind of just had to look at the movie and be like, well, you've got me there, this is weird, but ultimately, did I think it was a great movie? No, not really. Do I visually think it's fantastic? Yes, absolutely. If it was to rank it on my 7-point scale, I'd give it like a 3. Major kind of flaws, but interesting enough that if you ask me, do I think I should see this movie? Depending on how into animation you are and how into Gendy Tarkovsky, I'd kind of be like, yeah, I guess. Okay, that's it. Thank you for letting me expel those demons.
Get over here. Damn it. Here, come on.
Torres, who has become notorious for taking a lot of AIPAC money and being a vociferous defender of Israel's genocide in Gaza, and speaking with a lot of authority about what Jewish people care about and what is anti-Semitic and what is hateful towards Jews and what is not. Adam Freeland is a huge fan. Here's this thoughts from Richie Torres, and like, I know that it seems like what Adam was saying when he posted about this, that he had mixed feelings about this interview because he was very vulnerable. I think it's really awesome that he was and showed, courage to put yourself out there in this way, to speak about his experience of being indoctrinated into Zionism and having gone to Israel and what the process was like to extricate himself from that. I always think that's valuable when people talk about it. And what I think the best part of what came out of this interview was that Torres looks like a sociopath. And he looks immensely vapid and callous and corrupt. And for my money, that's a pretty good outcome, because that's kind of the reality. So here is an excerpt from that interview talking about Israel. So that's me. I'll go back a little bit, if that's okay. Maybe like 30 seconds. This is
the world saw the whole problem, and they established standards for what a genocide is. This shouldn't be
pause briefly. We don't need to take it off the screen, but he's referring to 1948, basically saying that the standards for what constitutes a genocide and the same year that the state of Israel was founded, it happened at the same year.
like it doesn't make sense to me. What I don't know. It doesn't track to me why there's this fixation with kids at a school. Two examples of people at a restaurant that there was banging.
Two examples from your surveys.
Give me
Read the ADL surveys.
It's hard for me to talk about this in public because
You're being fit.
that's me.
I'm not being interested. It's an emotional topic.
All right, I'll share with you what happened.
I'm not related.
I lived there.
To be being.
Sir, I lived there when I was 18, and I grew up a Zionist. And we were told, and our whole community in this country is told, that we have to defend Israel, and love Israel, because it'll stop the Holocaust. It will stop another Holocaust from happening. And my dad was born in 1951. That was 6 years after the crossing. His friends had his these people that had been through hell, these skeletons. And it terrified us. And the understanding argument is that we have to defend Israel. But it's
Oh, God, why?
a settlement at the end of my year there. And I looked down the road, at a Palestinian village, and I saw how they lived, and I turned back and I looked at the settlement and saw how they lived. That dehumanizes very constantly swamp team outfits, semi-automatic weapons. You keep telling me that the problem is what's getting yelled at in a restaurant? I'm sorry. Things right now will hurt people in my own family, okay? Because this is a very important thing to us, and the fact that I still fucking care about being Jewish is embarrassing. I should just be without religion. But this feels like a statement on our history. It doesn't change what being Jewish is. Because what being Jewish is in Israel. Judaism has existed for 4,000 years. It's been marching for 75 years. You know, it's the oldest, one of the oldest monotheist religions. The anti-Semitism is one of the oldest forms of hatred. People in my life are going to be mad at me about this, but I'm saying this because I am Jewish. You know, and I don't understand why you would be.
How do you?
I want to
feel like I'm here to production, not shut up.
That's really nice. Can I talk about why? What percentage is more than others?
So
What happened? You checked in Israel? You went to a restaurant or something? A nice restaurant? Like, listen.
Alright, let's pause it now, because this is not one excerpt, but you probably think there's a theory about this. I don't want to put you on the spot about this, but...
You are.
This was come down. I'm getting sucked up on this trip to Israel. They made fun of him for that all the time, but that's like a move. And I think we're just part of the recruitment.
What are you nuts? What was that? Why are they laughing?
Train in a condo.
Must be beautiful. Later in the interview, he brings up gratuitously Tel Aviv out of nowhere, which is just like...
What is this fucking lag, dude?
Westerners
So fucking annoyed.
The idea that like Israel is this egalitarian place because they have pride parades there, although you can't legally get married in Israel. If you leave that for a second. So it was informative to see how Torres brought into that and how it seems like he was on an Israel trip when he was really young. Richie grew up 24. Richie grew up like in a lot of poverty, yeah. And you go like, we get flooded with this amount of money for AIPAC. It's like, we will basically secure your place in power for X period of time with our unlimited funds. If you're a guy like Torres who doesn't seem to have a lot of scruples, you sign up.
And you just plucked out of poverty and joined a mafia.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's how popular the system.
Are you kidding? This fucking lag is killing me, dude. Whoa! This lag, dude. This fucking lag.
It started with this. It was made for these. He thought he could help make this. Now remains. They joined in, which led to this. Now it's more efficient to do all of this. This is just the start. Because here, we make things for what's next.
Oh, you're a bitch.
So,
Yeah. But I mean,
Adam Friedland is really actually pretty earnest.
Get the fuck! What is this lag?
So,
Brutal!
I had my couple of shows 6 years ago talking about I-24. It was similar to this, sort of embarrassed about it. I want to talk about it, and also it's they were checked in the release. The trouble is, he was honest for what is it's like that shows to people. Like, Richie Torres is, like, when you say the word buy in, he's bought. Like, he would not know who Richie Torres is unless he was willing to justify everything that Zionists would justified. And not that big at all. And to the extent that he will ever break with Israel, he has permission to, because it's untenable.
Also, I think, Richie Torres and people like him do me favors when you even insinuate that they care about Jewish people or Jewish people being saved. That's not what Adam Friedland was doing. And I think that was a very powerful clip because he was obviously very vulnerable. And, like, it's important to hear about these experiences and how people, educate themselves from these sorts of ways of thinking. But Richie Torres, most Zionists, like, their care for Jewish people is more about the care for the power that invoking Jewish people's identity, like that collective, and in the case of the Holocaust, that collective tragedy and trauma has allowed them to wield within our political system. And it's not just the Jewish identity. You see this across across the board with the way in which a lot of our political parties engage with identity. It's not about the people, it's about the power that you can garner from co-opting people's story, co-opting people's tragedy, and then, once it's no longer politically influenced, they jettison them. Like, I have no doubt that once, being really, really pro-Israel, being really, really, like, evocatively anti-Semitic is no longer valuable to Trump or no longer valuable to the Democrats, you won't hear anything about it. Like, and the anti-Semitism that arose as a result of their actions will be completely, they don't take responsibility for, they have no solution for, they'll maybe go on TV and chastise people about it, but there'll be no structural solution or acknowledgement of how we got to this point or their role in games to this point.
Yeah, and it touches on this too, where his assertion is the correct one, which is that the people committing genocide are waving a Jewish star, and that is contributing a lot more to anti-Semitism than to the people protesting it. This was another part that I found, there's some good quotes in our chat. This was another part that I found to be fascinating. They're going back and forth here, speaking about phrases like "from the river to the sea," and Hamas's intentions with the state of Israel. And you see how Torres uses the Hebron massacre to basically justify the Nakba, which he doesn't acknowledge in the clip. And Friedman kind of calls him out on it. So this was another part that I thought was good.
There, they didn't have to fucking move because black people can vote. And you said, tell your kids to come back because we need them to build our country. I don't know. I think that, I don't see what's wrong with people being afforded the right to vote.
Do you think that's what Hamas means when it says Palestine?
To me, it seems like maybe if there's a recognition that people were cleared of their land in 1948,
But there are those who only want a Jewish state, and there are those who only want a Palestinian state.
but they can fuck off.
And we should be advocating for the coexistence of a Jewish state and a Palestinian state.
Right.
I continue to believe the two-state solution ultimately is the inevitable path forward.
It's stupid.
There were 1,000 Jews who were murdered before the establishment of Israel, like a half a century before the establishment of Israel. 1,000 Jews.
Yeah, they were killing each other, Jews and Palestinians.
The Hebron massacre.
It doesn't make sense to me. This, in 2025,
The only point was there was violence against Jews
Look at this
before the
lag, dude.
establishment of the state of Israel.
there's violence against Palestinians. I mean, so can you say like the establishment of the state of Israel to the point that just a brief moment where England's like, hey, here's Israel, and it's like Zionist sent settlement.
What is this land?
This 100-year war in Palestine is called the 75 years of war in Palestine for a fucking reason.
Yeah, this was
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
Zionist logic into any other group has been violence committed against them by colonial powers, by even like coexisting powers within their own region. They would never accept like inter-ethnic group like concentration camps in parts of Eastern Europe. I mean, they maybe would depending on who was in charge, but you know what I mean. Like the argument that they're making for this is entirely predicated on it being in service of the United States war machine. Of course, our West, our NATO allies, but like it wouldn't apply to Native Americans doing it, to white people in America, black people doing it. It's the kind of logic that like you can use to like try to convince liberals that this fascism has like a liberal bent to it, but it falls apart when you look at any other example of like how we treat minority groups or what we think they deserve around the world.
Want to get spotted up to $200? Apply for a child checking account on install fee. Deposit. We want fee-free overdraft up to $200. It's rather nice for you to celebrate. Since help, we built our platform to not just respond to customer needs, but we anticipate them. So for employees, that means they always know the next best action, automation, workflow, snack break, all orchestrated on one unified platform. That's so nice.
World.
Right, and I'm reading here from the Jewish Virtual Library
library talking about the Hebron massacre, and this is their read of it. Hebron had up until this time been outwardly peaceful, though the tensions hid below the surface. The Sephardi Jewish community in Hebron had lived quietly with its Arab neighbors for centuries. These are Jews, as they reference, who were originally from Spain, North Africa, and Arab countries.
How is that possible if Islam is inherently violent?
Right. These Sephardi Jews spoke Arabic and had a cultural connection with the Arabs in Hebron. In the mid-1800s, Ashkenazi native European Jews started moving to Hebron, and in 1925, the Slobodka Yeshiva, officially called the Yeshiva of Hebron Knesset, Israel Slobodka, was open. Yeshiva students lived separately, and basically it was a clash between Zionist immigrants as they were their Arab neighbors. They are acknowledging that there were Jews that were living there, the Sephardi Jewish community that lived peacefully with their Arab neighbors. But once Zionism started, that's when tensions and that's when violence began to become more frequent, because the settlements were acts of violence and there were obviously tensions and there was resistance.
So nationalism, stupid.
So this is Forbes is using that to justify basically the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in 1948. Go ahead, Brandon.
And also, he's still justifying it now, and evoking the two-state solution is just a stalling tactic. It's meant to stall because the two-state solution is something that nominally only one side of this conflict has been working on for the entire time it's been talked about. That's Palestinians, and it's been disrupted by the U.S. and Israel. Not that there were two different things, but the U.S.-Israeli conflicts has been disrupting that talk because it's not what Israel wants in the region. That the settlements are an example of that. They've been very open about not wanting it because they view a two-state solution as unacceptable, and they view the alternative, which is more likely scenario of what will happen now that they've been doing their genocide, a one-state solution where it's not a Jewish state. That's the same thing as it's just the right supremacy, and about getting up the conflict. The British already understands that stalling is a whole tactic that they can use to hopefully outlast the genocide, and maybe by the time people realize or start actively agitating in a way that Democrats can't ignore, or Republicans can't ignore, or Labour can't ignore in the UK or any other of these Western countries that are complicit in this genocide can't ignore, it'll be over. They'll all be in South Sudan, or they'll all be dead, and then everyone can then wake up to the genocide for the first time. All of the people complicit in our media can wake up to it. All of our politicians can wake up to it and go like, I can't believe this happened, and no one did anything, and maybe we just won't do this again in the future. And that's what they're hoping will happen. I don't think it's possible, but that shows you the depths of their deprivation here, that they're hoping that they can just keep talking about unicorns and two-state solutions until every Palestinian is dead or displaced, and then acknowledge that something bad happened. And just one more point, this is not the only topic they do this about. Climate change is another topic that they do this about. They talk about the ways in which it's complex and how they acknowledge the science and